and welcome to another episode of Do Go On. My name is Dave Warnocky, and as always, I'm here with Jess Perkins and Matt Stewart.
Hello.
Hey Dave, hey Jess, how good is it to be alive? Quick question that was. Don't have to answer it now. Have a think about it.
I'll mull on it.
Yeah, I need time. Is there a multiple choice?
Yeah.
Or?
No.
Okay, it's A or B type scenario. Okay, I'll think about it. Yeah or no? Jess, do you have anything you want to say?
Well, I think I'm leaning towards no, because personally, I wish I was never born.
Is that true?
Yeah.
You've done so much with your life.
What have I done? List it from 1990 onwards.
Okay, you were born.
Yes.
That bit you wish never happened.
I wish that never happened.
From there, you grew into a child.
Yes.
And then I think from there, an adult.
I was a teen in between.
What teen in between? I mean, that's a three things now.
Wow.
And that brings us up to the present day.
I have packed a lot in. You're right. Maybe it is good to be alive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I'm
love
still
to hear
thinking
that.
about it. I'm thinking about going with option C, all of the above.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes good, sometimes not so good.
Now that's life.
Life's a roller coaster. Hey, life's a highway, if you ask me. I'm going to ride it all night long.
Now, Matt, what are we doing here? What is this show?
This show is called Do Go On, and it's all about little things.
Yeah. Little stories.
Sometimes big stories.
Sometimes.
We've done World
They can
War
be-
One.
Not this week.
No, we're going for a small story this week,
It's
are
a
we?
little story.
Good one.
Oh, I can't wait to find out what it is. So the way it works is one of the three of us picks a topic, or sometimes the patrons vote for a topic, usually suggested by a listener. We go away, we research that topic, we write up a little report about it. Sometimes, like last week, too big of a report. And then we bring it back and tell the other two all about what we have learnt while they kind of interrupt and make tedious sort of dog shit riffs and ask questions that probably make some people annoyed.
Yeah.
And this week, Jess is doing the report, and we always get onto the topic with a question. Jess, what's your question this week?
My question is, what group of people are known for their catchphrase, extra, extra?
Paper boys. Is that right? No, extra, extra. Pepperoni boys. Extra pepperoni.
Dave, I'd jump in if I were you.
Is
Extra,
it
extra.
Wrigley's Extra Gum?
It is not,
Oh,
okay? I thought, because Matt's
extra.
basically got it, but I could have been a tedious dickhead and been like, it's not quite the wording.
Newspaper boy? Newspaper salesman.
Take out the paper.
Newsboy.
Newsboy, Dave got it. Well done,
Newsboy.
Dave.
I got him one.
Newsboy.
Newsboy. What?
Which are essentially newspaper boys.
So that's fine. What kind of person? Newsboy.
Newsboy.
I don't think I feel like I've only ever heard them called paper boys. Or am I thinking of boys made of paper?
You're thinking of boys made of paper, yes.
Damn it. That's
And
not
look,
what we're talking about?
It could be, maybe in Australia we would have called them paper boys. And this story is set in the US of A.
Oh, is the A for Australia?
Yes. And this is a report about newsboys, specifically the Newsboy Strike of 1899.
Wow, okay.
Whoa.
It's been suggested by quite a few people. It's been suggested by...
Sorry, can I stop you there right there? I got a dog shit riff. Is US of A, is that us of Australia? Okay, go on.
And yes. So the Newsboy Strike has been suggested by Sarah McLagan from Edinburgh.
Sarah McLagan?
Yes.
Fantastic.
JJ Grayson from Glasgow.
I
Betsy.
mean, JJ Grayson in any other room would have the best name, but he's come straight after Jessie McLagan.
Sarah.
Her sister too?
Betsy Nucitelli from West Sacramento.
Well, welcome to Telly, Betsy.
Meg from Norwich.
Aha.
Come on, you can't stop now.
Oh, Meg from Norwich. Beautiful part of the world. Good on you, Meg. Hope you like egg. Your name sounds like one.
Barbara Gordon from Vancouver.
Barbara Gordon.
And a Barbara Gordon to you
Barbara
too.
Gordon. And Daniel Spring from Philadelphia.
Wow, so it's all over. Sorry,
Yeah.
just bringing this step for Daniel. And
Quite spread out.
yeah, because you said it's in the United States of America. I've never heard of the Newsboy Strike
Yeah.
of 1899, but I hope they got what they want.
And I'm
Yeah.
going to talk about it for 5 hours.
Whoa. It is your passion.
That's my passion. I love it. I've loved it my whole life.
And we've actually got a special guest who hosts a weekly Newsboy Strike podcast with us for some extra facts.
For people who skipped last week's 5-hour episode, it was about the St Kilda Football Club, and it included a guest from a podcast about the St Kilda Football Club. So Dave was making a little funny riff there.
Matt will be explaining all of the jokes or attempted jokes this week.
All of the references will be explained. You will never feel left out on this podcast.
Because there's a big strike going on at the moment at the time of recording in America with the Writers Guild
And the actors.
and the Actors Guild. A couple of the two big guilds.
Yeah.
You'd be a member of the Australian Writers and Actors Guilds, wouldn't you, Dave?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm actually not part of any guilds.
I want to be a part of a guild.
I wouldn't mind being part of a guild. Should we just start a guild?
Yeah. The
'Cause I can't-
Podcasters Guild of Australia.
Oh, that's nice.
There probably is one, isn't there?
Probably.
PGA. We could do PGA tours.
Exactly.
Yes, we'll do our PGA tour.
I think that'd be nice.
The Comedy Festival, that's one of the majors.
Yeah. Now watch this drive. I don't know what that. Anyway, so Newsboys. We've seen them in old-timey movies,
Absolutely.
but I don't think we really understand how important they were to the distribution of news at the turn of the 20th century. This is during a time when newspapers were printed and distributed at least twice a day. The morning papers were often delivered directly to subscribers, but afternoon papers relied exclusively on newsboys to sell them.
Wow.
Newsboys were usually quite young, some apparently as young as 7, and they were often from poor immigrant families. Some, in fact, lived in lodging houses that were created to help the homeless youth of New York City. The first of these lodging houses was opened in the mid-1850s and offered a bed and a bath for 6 cents and a meal for an additional 4.
Incredible value.
Over the time, they often incorporated a school as well, allowing the children to attend classes in the morning or evening, as most of them had to work to support themselves. I just thought that was kind of interesting and not a terrible system to get kids off the streets. Like in the mid-1850s, they were like, we'll give you a roof over your head. Now we don't do that.
Where do we put the roofs?
Wherever, like underfoot.
Oh, yeah, that is a bad system.
Yeah.
That's not where they go.
Sometimes a bit sideways.
Oh
And
my
you're like,
God.
that's a wall.
That's a wall.
a side roof.
Okay.
I thank you for the wall, but call it what it is.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that's a roof.
Tell you what, there are clowns up on Capitol Hill at
Yeah.
the moment, aren't there? Or
And
whatever we call
sometimes-
Canberra.
Sometimes, you know how sometimes rain's coming sideways? Mm-hmm. Then that particular roof is helpful.
Right. You're welcome.
Okay.
But that's not that often.
Yeah. Could you put a roof on top of these other roofs?
Yeah, please.
But now how am I going to get in?
Well, you make a smaller inserted roof on a hinge.
A hinge roof.
A hinged roof.
Oh, that's good.
That's nice. According to allthat'sinteresting.com, newsboys, and sometimes girls, but usually boys, had long made up the fabric of booming metropolises like New York City. Darting between carts and hanging out on corners, they hawked the day's paper for a penny. By the time of the Newsboy Strike of 1899, the number of newsboys had exploded, thanks to the recent introduction of evening editions, which people grabbed for their commute home. So they're printing even more papers.
Well, like a third run, maybe.
There's a third run of papers. They need more newsboys out on the street. Get those papers to the people. So how it worked was the newsboys would buy a stack of papers at 50 cents per 100, and then they'd sell the papers for a penny, 1 cent. So they made a profit of half a cent per paper.
Right on. So you sell, 20 papers? You got yourself a meal, you got a bath, you got a bed.
I guess so, but you've also spent 50 to buy the paper. So you've got to sell them all really to make it. You've got to sell at least half to make some of that money back.
Oh, gotcha.
You got yourself a hinged roof. You got yourself a gym. But so they're marking it up by what, 100%? Is that right? They're buying a half a cent,
Yeah.
selling for 1 cent.
Yeah.
Now, they thought about selling them for 2 cents.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Make even more money.
Whoa.
Maybe that's what this strike's all
That
about.
could have solved this strike a lot sooner, actually. This system worked for a long time. It kind of gave the kids. The kids obviously weren't raking it in, but they'd have enough to potentially keep a roof over their heads and buy a stack of papers the next day and keep it going. It worked for a long time. There were some short-lived strikes in 1886, 87 and early 89. But 10 years later, in mid-1899, the newsboys would set off a strike that would have ripple effects into newspaper circulation and would inspire a Disney musical almost 100 years later.
Whoa, Aladdin.
And the reason for this strike came down to the actions of 2 men, Joseph Pulitzer and William Randolph.
Prize. That's good stuff.
What did you say?
Prize. Pulitzer and prize.
Great. It's good stuff.
Edit that bit out. Jess, start again. Sorry about that, everybody. Jess, go again from the top. Then we can cleanly edit out that what I thought was quite fun. But as it turned out, when Dave said, "What did you say?" I realised, no, it wasn't fun. It was annoying.
No, it was just the both of you cancelled each other out, and all I heard was,
Yeah, it was my fault because the middle of my sentence interrupted the start of Matt's.
Didn't you know he was about to start talking? What you should do is pause after every word just in case he's got an idea. And possibly have 7 seconds after each word just in case.
He has a really good sense of when I'm trying to build suspense too.
Yeah, that's right.
So, go from the top.
Because I've heard of some of these names, I believe. Can we go again?
The reason for this strike came down to the actions of two men, Joseph Pulitzer and William Randolph Hearst.
Ooh, he's big.
Mm-hmm.
Patty Hearst's dad.
Patty Hearst's dad. I don't know who Patty Hearst is. I'm so
Patty Hearst is the one who had the term Stockholm Syndrome sort of applied to her. She made it a popular term.
That's right.
I don't know if we've talked about
Was
that
she
on the show.
kidnapped?
Yes, is she the daughter or the granddaughter?
Maybe granddaughter.
Probably granddaughter, I think, yeah.
And she ended up...
So it's a very wealthy family.
She ended up being she did some armed robberies and stuff and ended up getting in trouble.
I think that's been suggested. I think it's in the hat. I think
I think it's a pretty harrowing story for her.
Yeah.
Really bad.
We don't ever do harrowing stories.
No, exactly. That's why we haven't done that story yet. We like to keep it nice and light. So a little bit about them first. So Joseph Pulitzer was a Hungarian-American who moved to the US in 1864 when he was in his late teens, where he fought for the Union in the American Civil War. And although he spoke German, Hungarian, and French, Pulitzer learned very little English until after the war. He's sort of able to get by mainly with German during the war, apparently. So he's in the US. He's there for quite some time. Still doesn't speak English. After the war, he moved around a little bit, eventually ending up in Missouri. He worked odd jobs, spent his free time studying English, and was a prolific reader. And in 1868, he landed a job as a reporter for the Westliche Post, a German-language newspaper. He became involved in politics, and in 1878, he bought the St. Louis Dispatch and merged it with John Dillon's The St. Louis Post, forming the St. Louis Post and Dispatch.
That's catchy.
Which they soon renamed to just Post Dispatch. All beautiful names for a paper.
They got rid of the "and"?
Yeah, Post Dispatch. It was a hyphen now. With his own paper, Pulitzer developed his role as a champion of the common man, featuring exposés and a hard-hitting populist approach. The paper was considered a leader in the field of sensational journalism. So they were going for if it bleeds, it leads. They were going for big eye-catching headlines and stuff, which I didn't know that, and I find it funny that the Pulitzer Prize exists now.
Yeah.
But anyway.
That is so funny because what is the Pulitzer Prize is for excellence in journalism or something.
And you're like, but he was a leader of sensationalist news.
I think a lot of awards are just he funded it at some point.
Exactly right.
So it's him going, I want a legacy, the bomb maker who does the Nobel Prizes. And I think the Australian one is funded by an oil baron.
What's the Australian one?
The Australian Media Awards, what are they called, the big ones?
Quills?
Not the Quills, okay.
Oh, the Walkleys.
The Walkleys.
Yeah.
I believe maybe he was another guy who just wanted to have
it's a great rebrand.
A legacy.
If my work was described as sensational, I'd be pretty happy with that. I just want to say.
But nobody will say it, Dave.
Yeah, they won't.
They won't. And that's on you. You got to lift your game. In 1883, he travelled to New York and made an offer to Jay Gould to buy another newspaper, the New York World. Jay Gould had acquired the newspaper as a throw-in on one of his railroad deals.
We'll chuck in the paper as well.
They just threw in a newspaper, and it had been losing about $40,000 a year. It wasn't doing very well, so he was keen to get rid of it. So Pulitzer negotiated with him, and eventually he purchased the paper for $346,000. Now, remember, to put it into perspective, the kids are selling the papers for 1 cent.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just paid $346,000 to buy a newspaper.
That's losing money.
It's big money, yeah. The World, the paper, immediately gained 6,000 readers in its first 2 weeks under Pulitzer and more than doubled its circulation to 39,000 within 3 months. So he really turned it around really quickly. From Wikipedia, as he had in St. Louis, Pulitzer emphasized sensational stories, human interest, crime, disasters, and scandal. Under Pulitzer's leadership, circulation grew from 15,000 to 600,000, making the World the largest newspaper in the country.
That's amazing.
Huge.
Making the World the largest newspaper in the country is a fun
It's
sentence.
clearer to me because I can see I've italicized it. Mm-hmm. Is that a word?
Yeah. I
Put
think you
it
should
into Italian.
win a Pulitzer Prize for that.
Put it into Italian. Pulitzer emphasized broad appeal through short, provocative headlines and sentences. The World's self-described style was brief, breezy, and briggity.
Ooh.
I reckon
does that
they did
mean?
not need that third word.
No, but they're just like,
He's
keep
like,
it.
we need it to be brief. We need it to be breezy. We need it to be. Oh, thank goodness. We're
third
thinking of
B
briggity.
Bridget.
Bridget.
Brigitte.
And everyone's like, well, I guess this guy's the master.
Okay. God, he's good. One of his biggest rivals at the time was William Randolph Hearst.
Oh, that dog.
So Hearst was an American businessman, newspaper publisher, and politician, known for developing the nation's largest newspaper chain and media company, Hearst Communications. He was born in San Francisco, the son of George Hearst, a millionaire mining engineer who later became a US senator. Very powerful, very rich family. He enrolled in the Harvard College class, Harvard, of 1885, but was expelled for antics,
Oh, wow.
including
get up to
organising
them.
massive parties in Harvard Square and sending chamber pots to his professors.
That is cheeky. That's a bit of fun, I
That's
think.
an antic, I would
Yeah.
say.
I want to
That's an
know,
antic.
like, is it a used, is it a full chamber pot?
Yeah.
Because that really changes it for me. Because it was just an empty chamber pot. Thank you for this lovely gift.
Thank you. I needed a new chamber
Exactly.
pot.
I need to shit.
Oh, you've taken that off the gift register, have you?
Lovely. Thank you. Appreciate that very much. It matches my upstairs chamber pot. So expelled from Harvard, and looking for a job. In 1887, Hearst took over management of his father's newspaper, the San Francisco Examiner, which his father had acquired in 1880 as repayment for a gambling debt. People are just handing over newspapers.
So funny. It does feel like rich people in America are playing the whole country like a board game.
Yes. Okay, sure, you can buy the railway, but I am going to throw in this newspaper, but for an extra 10 grand.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't
No.
want the electric company.
Well, but if you want,
Oh.
if you want the railway line, then you're going to take the electric company.
Okay, I've already got 3 railway lines. This could be good. If I get the 4th one.
Fine, I'll take your stupid electric company.
Ugh.
Yeah, it feels like that, which I simply adore. In 1895, William Randolph Hearst purchased the rival New York Journal, which at one time had been owned by Pulitzer's brother, Albert. So now they've both got rival newspapers in New York.
One's the World, one's the Journal.
That's right.
I don't know why I specified American rich people. I think that's all. It's probably Australian rich people also play our country like a board game.
Yeah, but it's probably like Boggle.
It's off-brand
Yeah,
Monopoly.
It's not as good.
Yeah.
There's not as much good stuff.
Comes in a plastic bag. Doesn't come in a box. It's missing a few pieces.
Yeah,
We
it's
got
missing
most of them.
They've made a lot of their own pieces out of cardboard. And they say you can't tell the difference, but you can.
You can.
It's embarrassing. So with this acquisition, Hearst entered into a head-to-head circulation war with Pulitzer. In fact, Hearst played a little dirty. He stole cartoonist Richard F. Outcolt along with all of Pulitzer's Sunday staff.
Wow.
He just
Stole them.
He stole them.
Put them in a bag.
Hash and sack in a black van.
Just dragged them down the street.
Now work in this office instead. Okay.
Okay. All right.
But his reputation was actually quite good. What it probably seems like is that he was just offering better and they jumped ship.
Yeah,
Hearst,
stolen is funny. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't their choice.
he stole them by offering them more money and better working conditions.
I told you, what a dog.
He imported his best managers from the San Francisco Examiner and quickly established himself as the most attractive employer among New York newspapers.
He was hot.
He was seen as generous. He paid more. And yeah, I think just the working conditions were probably a bit better.
And also a chiseled jaw.
And he was hot.
Oh, my God.
He was a hottie. From this really interesting resource I found, wikipedia.org. It sort of has like a lot of the history of newspapers, which you'd think is quite dull, but, you know, when you find out some of them are won in gambling debts and stuff, it's quite interesting.
That's fun.
So wikipedia.org says the New York Journal and its chief rival, the New York World, mastered a style of popular journalism that came to be derided as yellow journalism, which is, I looked up, you know, what the definition of that is. It says American terms for journalism and associated newspaper that present little or no legitimate, well-researched news while instead using eye-catching headlines for increased sales. So they're not good newspapers.
Do you know where they got the colour yellow from? Was it like the paper was cheaper or something?
No, it was, I think it was like a bit of a deep cut. I think it's something to do with a particular cartoon that was in one of the papers.
Right.
I can't remember. I did sort of look into it and I think that was it. Bit strange.
Was it The Simpsons?
It was The Simpsons.
Yeah.
That's where The Simpsons started. Not a lot of people know that. Pulitzer's World had pushed the boundaries of mass appeal for newspapers through bold headlines, aggressive news, generous use of cartoons and illustrations, had a lot of pictures, populist politics, and dramatic crime and human interest stories. Hearst's Journal used the same recipe for success, forcing Pulitzer to drop the price of the World from 2 cents to a penny. So instead of increasing their prices like you suggested, Dave, they've actually decreased them.
Oh, my God. Can I just say that Pulitzer's World sounds like the world's worst theme park?
Yeah, Pulitzer World.
Come on down. See the printing press.
Ride the printing
Right.
press.
Come up with your own catchy headline. Even if it's not real, we'll probably publish it.
Pose for a picture.
So, and when you say, is a penny a cent?
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's gone from,
2 cents
so
to
it's slashed the price.
yeah. Just to be more competitive because they're really in a circulation war.
And all that really does is cut the margin for the paper boys?
Yeah.
Because they're the ones setting the price. Yeah, that doesn't seem...
Yeah, I guess
so they're wearing all of that. Are they still selling them to the paper boys at the same price?
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, that can't be the way to do it.
Soon the two papers were locked in a fierce, often spiteful competition for readers in which both papers spent large sums of money and saw huge gains in circulation. So yeah, they're like, by dropping the price, obviously they're losing money, I suppose, but they're making it more accessible. Or if the other one's 2 cents and this one's 1 cent and they're essentially telling the same story, so I'll get the cheaper one. So, yeah. So they're just trying to get their circulation numbers up. Seems to be like that's the main thing they care about. Also from wikipedia.org. Within a few months of purchasing the journal, Hearst hired away Pulitzer's 3 top editors, Sunday editor Morrill Goddard, who greatly expanded the scope and Morrill.
I've never heard that as a first name.
It's Morrill.
Wow.
Morrill? Morrill.
I like Morrill.
I think it's Morrill.
Great
Could
name.
trust that guy.
Morrill Goddard, who's the Sunday editor, who greatly expanded the scope and appeal of the American Sunday newspaper. There was also Solomon Carvello, oh my God, another great name, and a young Arthur Brisbane, who became managing editor of the Hearst newspaper Empire and a well-known columnist. Contrary to popular assumption, they were not lured away by higher pay. Rather, each man had grown tired of the office environment that Pulitzer encouraged. Toxic work environment. You know?
But he encouraged that.
Yeah. It's not always about, obviously, if you're leaving one job, it'd be great if the next one pays more, you know? But sometimes you sort of go, well, same pay,
Yeah, you
better
move,
work
move
conditions.
sideways, but there's better benefits in other ways.
Exactly. That's me investing in me.
They've
Exactly.
got beanbags.
They got beanbags
They're
and
actually really cool.
a ping pong table.
Yeah. And they have margarita Wednesdays.
Yeah, and that's really fun. I get drunk at work.
Yeah.
You
So-
worked in an office with a slide before, isn't that right?
I did work in an office with a slide, and we did have drinks and snacks on Friday afternoons. And I don't just mean like they'd put out a cheese board. Like there was a bar built into the building, and they would just bring out boxes and boxes of like chips, popcorn, pretzels, whatever. And you'd go and like take an entire packet of chips and beers, and you could take them back to your desk. It was the best.
And
we had John Farnham play at the Christmas party.
Yes, now we're talking.
you know what? I'm probably, yeah. I mean, it's harder. Part of me would be like, could I just get my cut of whatever you paid Farnsey?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Could you just pay me a bit better?
Yeah, they did pay well too.
Oh my God, where is this place?
It was a good job.
Yeah, were you working for 1-800-HEAVEN?
Yeah, I was working for 1-800-HEAVEN.
You call up, hello, you've got heaven. Oh, well, great. What's it like in there?
I didn't think I'd get through.
Have you got those pretzels I've heard so
Is
much
my
about?
granddad there? No, pretzels. Damn it!
Put him on.
Put him on and get me pretzels. Anyway, so the two of them were soon going to have a shared enemy to deal with, and it was going to come from a surprising source: a bunch of kids.
That's right. Nothing brings two old rich men together like some annoying kids.
So from all that's interesting, they wrote, everything started to shift when the Spanish-American War broke out in 1898. Then publishers started charging newsies, the newsboys, paper boys,
Oh, newsies.
60 cents instead of 50 for their bundles. Although they didn't know it at the time, this would form the basis of the Newsboy Strike of 1899, just a year later. So they just charged some 10 cents more. Newsies didn't mind, not at first. The public had a massive appetite for war stories, and the papers, filled with grabby, exciting headlines, sold like never before. So they're like, yeah, it's fine.
Buy this paper or you'll die.
Oh my God.
I'll take 4.
When the war ended, though, most publishers lowered their prices back to 50 cents, but Hearst and Pulitzer kept charging the newsboys 60 cents for 100 papers. The moguls were competing with each other using flashy front pages and extra editions, and they wanted to save money where they could. Small 7-year-old children trying to keep roofs over their head. They're like, well, that's how we can save money.
Yeah, what are you going to do? You're a kid.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Band together?
I like
Good
this.
luck.
Yeah.
That'd be really cute. That probably sounds really cute. I'd watch a musical about that.
What was the war that just ended? There was some American war
The
then.
Spanish-American War. Please don't ask me any follow-up questions. I didn't know that had existed.
Just a quick follow-up question. What did that war entail? Who were the combatants?
Spain,
Okay.
America.
Right. And where to get the name from?
You know these. You know they make them up.
Yeah, right. Random name
Boer
generator.
War.
Yeah.
Like
What's a ball?
Vietnam War.
Where's that?
There's just got names, just
World
catchy
War II.
names.
God, get some inspiration.
It's all like, I think it's all based on like astrology or something. Yeah, they get names from that.
Yeah.
Mercury rising.
Yeah,
World War
they name
II.
comets and boats and shit. It's all the same thing.
Right. History, it's all made up.
Before long, the newsboys started to feel the difference. Their frustration came to a head on July 18 when newsboys in Long Island City found out that a journal delivery man had been selling them bundles with fewer than 100 papers.
Oh, wow.
He's ripping them off. So not only are they still being charged 60 cents, they're not even getting 100 papers to sell. So they can't. How do they make any money?
He starts cutting up the bundles with older papers as well, just like lesser quality. Yeah, clever.
That's smart. And also, if the kids, essentially, like, the kids bought the papers, they had to sell all of those papers. If you didn't sell all your papers, you're just losing money. So they're having to work late, they're having to work really hard, and now they're finding out they're not even getting 100 papers that they're paying for.
Yeah, they start going, well, I'm getting through these real quick. And then realize they're only getting bundles of 3.
Yeah. Like, wow.
Hang on, something doesn't add up here.
I'm getting really good at this. So they've discovered that he's not giving them the full 100. So a group of furious newsboys tipped over his wagon and stole his papers. Energized and encouraged, the newsboys decided to tackle a much bigger injustice, the price of their bundles. So on July 19, it's the next day, the newsboys gathered in Manhattan City Hall Park to form a union. They demanded that Hearst and Pulitzer reduce the price of newspaper bundles back to 50 cents, and the Newsboys declared that they would not buy the World or the Journal until the moguls complied. The Newsboy Strike of 1899 had begun. It was like so quick. It was like one day a bunch of kids in Long Island just like snapped and had enough, and then the next day they formed a union, they're on strike. They were efficient. This is before they could just text each other and be like, hey, sup, we're on strike. FYI.
Hey, I just tipped a man over.
So how do they
I tipped a man over. You know what that means?
You know what I mean? Come on, see you at City Hall.
Yeah,
We're on strike.
obviously, see you tomorrow. Midday at the park. You got it.
Tipped a man over. And his
tipped
wagon.
They tipped his wagon over. They didn't tip him over. How do you tip a man over?
I think it was pretty clear that they also tipped him
Yeah,
over.
so you tip the wagon over first, but he doesn't see that. And then they go, hey, what's that over there? And then whilst he's walking backwards, he tips over the wagon.
There's an implication there that he also got tipped.
He's been
So
tipped.
a man tipping over is him falling on something.
Yeah, he's been tipped.
Yeah, it's a human. That's,
And they say, congratulations, you've been tipped.
Right.
It's a new show I've been working on.
What if he was
Tipping
in...
point.
Oh, okay. Tipping point. That's better.
Well, the catchphrase is, you've been tipped.
You've been tipped.
Yeah.
And then you put a dollar note on them.
What if he was in the wagon when they tipped it?
Well,
Has he still been tipped?
Yeah, you've been double tipped.
Oh, that's double tipped.
Yeah, you get double points for double tipping.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
concurrent tipping. Concurrent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is interesting.
Which is double points.
What's the show called again?
Tipping point.
Tipping point. But the catchphrase is you've been tipped.
You've
been
been tipped. Is a dollar.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's another type of tip.
Yeah. That's when you've been double tipped, you get a triple
it.
tip. You get a third tip,
Wow, yeah.
which gets you another dollar.
Could there be a segment on the show called Just the Tip?
Just the tip, yeah.
It's good.
That is that's the sealed section of the show.
But does it count?
Just the tip?
Yeah. Does that count?
It does, yes. You get
okay.
another dollar for just the tip.
Some people say that if it's just the tip, it doesn't count, but it absolutely counts.
Okay.
Yeah, on
Even
tipping point it does.
Yeah.
A show that
Is
is
about
tipping in so many ways.
Maybe too many. At the end of the show, do you take the wagon and throw it in the tip?
Yeah, that's right.
If it passes the tipping point,
That's the tipping point.
then you get another dollar.
Oh, okay. I think I'm
If
starting
you-
to understand.
If there's enough weight in the dollars that land on you, you pass the tipping point and it all goes to the tip.
And at any point, are you asked to give advice?
Yes.
Yeah, there's an advice section in there.
Each team has one advisor,
Who
Giving
can
tips.
give them tips?
which gets you a dollar.
And then also at some point is one of the challenges to put on like a weird silicone cap that you pull parts of your hair through to bleach.
Yes. There is also one hairdresser working out from their backyard.
And what's she
bungalow.
doing?
Or is that just where I got my tips? And her name was Bernie. Is that just me or is that a universal
that's-
truth?
That's on the
Yes,
show.
And it was very painful.
Yes.
And you get a dollar.
There you go.
We've got a whole staff of tippers. We call them the tip staff.
Wow.
But, you know,
Tip stars. That would be good.
yeah.
The tip stars. Yeah.
They could be famous for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, should I keep going or?
Yeah, we've sold it to 80 countries so far.
That's a really fun show. I like it a lot.
To celebrate, you tip a bottle of champagne down your throat. Just part of the fun.
And then
You get another dollar.
I want to clarify as well for listeners that Matt he's doing the full arm gesture of putting $1 down every time.
He's done a bit of a, that's for you.
We go all in here.
Yeah, we don't fuck about
We're not
here.
half-assing it here.
We're not.
When we're talking about our show Tipping Point.
So look, it may have started with the Long Island newsboys tipping over a wagon, but it spread really quickly, and the newsboys of Manhattan and Brooklyn joined in on the strike the very next day. So it spread like wildfire. At first, the newspaper moguls shrugged off the newsboys' demands. There was a guy called Don Seitz, and he was the managing editor of the New York World, and he sent a very blasé memo to Pulitzer about the strike on July 21. So it's been going for a few days, and he sends a memo, and it just said, had some trouble today through the strike on the part of the newsboys, but he assured his boss that the strike would be sporadic and that the situation was well in hand. He was like, don't even worry about it, babe. Babe.
They're just boys,
Babe.
babe.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the little boys.
They're aging out of the job anyway. There's new paper boys being born every day.
Yeah. That's a paper boy. That's a paper boy.
Is that being born or dying?
Ha, both.
Oh my God.
One in, one out.
It's a good policy.
That's one aging out. Oh, that's one being
Oh,
born.
we got one.
from all that's interesting, the Newsboys, however, had no intention of backing down. On July 22nd, 100 newsies descended on Newspaper Row, where the papers were distributed, and threatened the New York World and the New York Journal with clubs.
Okay, they've really stepped it up.
They've got weapons now.
Oh, okay. Not
like
you join a club.
They're not wearing different coloured T-shirts and calling themselves by things. They've got weapons. Bats.
We're the Beagle Boys.
Yeah. The Beagle Boys.
We're the Beagle Boys.
Bugle Boys.
We're the Bugle Boys from Company B.
Yes. Lots of good options. I couldn't think of a single other joke.
For clubs.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have invited them to a disco.
Yeah.
A night out.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, they've got bats.
A few screwdrivers. No, they've got bats. Okay. Is that a cocktail?
Is that a cocktail? I'll just have a bat, thanks.
I'll have a bat. I'll have a club. Right?
Okay. At first, the police were able to disperse the young strikers, but the Newsboy Strike of 1899 continued, and the newsies convened in even greater numbers around Columbus Circle. 500 of them shouted, threw fruit, and stole newspapers out of wagons.
Oh, they're tipping. They're back tipping.
When you said shouted through fruit, I thought they were holding up like a mango to the mouth, going
holding it out like the world's worst vuvuzela.
Why are they doing it through the fruit?
Can we have examples of what other fruits would sound like?
Well, that was a mango. Yeah. What kind of fruit?
Banana?
Banana. It's more like.
Yeah.
You're able to get your lips around it a bit.
What about a blueberry?
A blueberry.
I reckon you could just shout with a blueberry in your mouth.
But you're not shouting through it, though, are you?
Yeah, that's true. That is true. No, they shouted, they threw fruit, and they stole shit. That day, Seats, the managing editor, sent a second memo. This one had a note of alarm. Said, the Newsboy Strike has grown into a menacing affair. It is proving a serious problem.
Sorry, sir. I know I said it was fine, but I'm now covered in mango.
He goes on to say, practically all the boys in New York and adjacent towns have quit selling. This is only a few days later. Like, at first he was like, don't worry about it. Now he's like, I'm a little worried about it.
Yeah.
We're not selling any papers. That was on like the 22nd. On the 24th of July, he was in full panic. The advertisers have abandoned the paper and the sales have been cut down fully 2 to 5, he told Pulitzer. It's really a very extraordinary demonstration.
Hats off to the kids.
Yeah.
That's fantastic job.
They're honestly fucking ruining us.
I think we should do a story on these kids.
Yeah. And people did. Funnily enough, not those two papers.
The other paper.
But others did.
Yeah, the Pulitzer's paper just says, everything is fine. Keep buying papers.
Extra. Nothing to see here. Literally, no one is saying this. Because the boys are on strike. Oh, who am I?
Oh, my God.
Who am I? Who am I saying this?
You're a newsman.
I'm a newsman.
I'm a newsman.
They're paying him 3 cents.
They tried. The young boys continued to rally and protest and refused to buy or sell the papers. They marched across the Brooklyn Bridge. They protested in the streets of downtown Manhattan. They tore up newspapers and threw water on newsstand owners who didn't support the strike. From Wiki, any man or boy found to be selling the 2 boycotted papers would be mobbed by a group of strikers, beaten, and his papers destroyed. The newspaper owners paid grown men to sell their newspapers, offering them police protection, but the strikers often found ways to distract the officer so they could get at the scabs, is what they called them.
There.
Yeah. Women.
When did the term scabs come about? Was it around this time or is it already around?
Yeah, it might have already been around.
I was thinking maybe it was because they ended up getting bashed like this. They'd still work and their like cuts are scabbing up or something.
You get tipped over and you get your scabby knees.
But imagine like being these newspaper owners, you're now paying adults to sell the newspaper and offering police protection from children.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
So much more money they would be spending than just paying them extra.
Exactly right.
Or charging them less is all they're asking them to do.
Yeah.
But instead I'm guessing they're paying the cops and they're also, I'm assuming, having to pay the adults more than the children.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Probably multiple cents.
Yeah, so it's a bad system.
No, and there wasn't a big margin as it was.
No. The Wikipedia article says women and girls fared a little better because, as union leader Kid Blink put it,
Oh my God, this has got to be the highest quality, like consistently names.
You haven't missed yet.
there's some really good names.
Kid
What was
Blink.
Kid Blink?
Kid Blink,
And he's the union leader.
one of the union
Was he
leaders.
4 years old?
I'll talk more about Kid Blink in a sec.
Kid Blink.
But he said a fella can't soak a lady, which I
What did he say?
a fella can't soak a lady.
That's a no bath rule.
Yeah.
We'll bathe the man, we'll bathe the boy,
You know,
but you can't soak a
the
lady.
lingo was different back then. So the struck newspapers didn't publish a word about the strike, as we were just saying. Their news didn't include this at all. But other newspapers ran articles and illustrations detailing the skirmishes, the mass meetings, the negotiations, and they always quoted the newsboys in their signature slang. So, it was quite, it was written out sort of phonetically. So it's like, Weasons has got to stand by one another these times, a striker named Billy told the Jersey City Evening Journal. Because if we don't, sure's hell will get hit in the neck from dem capitalists.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. You can't bathe a woman. Whatever it said
You
before.
can't soak a lady.
Sounds like a lady. Lady. Do they catch on to this and just start hiring only women?
I don't know. I think they still
Obviously, we still prefer to give the work to men.
we still distract the cops and steal all the papers, and it still didn't go well. Although portrayed by the press in comic fashion, strike violence was no joke. Some scabs wielded table legs and carried revolvers with them to protect themselves against children.
legs.
One forced a loaded gun down Kid Blink's throat.
Oh.
Seems unnecessary.
Really unnecessary. The strikers...
How short is the range on this gun?
I'm worried I'll miss. Keep swallowing.
Keep swallowing.
Oh, no.
And now we wait.
Yeah, it's a crooked side. I don't know.
But the striking newsboys played rough too. They armed themselves with horseshoes, baseball bats, barrel staves, and wheel spokes. So they were it was violent. So, okay.
Like with a horseshoe, you trying to wrap it around their neck.
Yeah.
Like a little game of horseshoe. What's going on?
It'd be pretty, if he got hit over the head with one, it'd hurt.
Yeah.
Or thrown at you.
Or if you put it on your foot and kicked it.
Oh my God,
Becomes a
kick you in the face.
It's a kid's shoe.
Kicked in the head by a Shetland pony. That sketch has a newspaper boy.
Does it?
Yeah, extra, read all about it.
Oh.
Man kicked in the face by a Shetland pony.
Oh, yeah.
If you
He's
haven't
very
seen,
Jack Druce.
if you haven't
Yeah.
seen it, you got to go on YouTube and type in "kicked in the
Don't.
head
Oh, maybe don't.
by a Shetland pony." Jess is there.
Yep, in a nurse's outfit.
I'm there as a doctor. So it was, it was era appropriate.
Yeah.
Women were nurses.
That's right.
Men were doctors.
Jack Druce was a paper boy.
Yeah, it all makes sense to me. So I mentioned Kid Blink.
Oh yeah.
Great name. I've got a couple of other characters here that, they come up in the story, but I mostly just wanted to say their names. So Kid Blink, part of what appealed to me in this story was some of the characters and the names. So he was for a lot of it, he was sort of the face of the strike. His name was Louis Kid Blink Belletti. He was a charismatic leader. He was 18 at the time of the strike, and he had red hair and an eye patch over his left eye. So his other nicknames included Red Blink, Blind Diamond, and
Oh my God.
Muggsy McGee.
Oh my God. This guy could be the coolest man of all time. Red hair and an eye patch.
Muggsy McGee.
Muggsy McGee. Jeez, he's got the big three. Red hair, everyone agrees.
Yeah.
The coolest of the hair colours.
Damn right.
An eye patch.
Yep.
There's no better way to cover one of your eyes than with a patch.
No better
Agreed.
patch either.
And can you tell me a better name than Muggsy McGee?
I can't.
What was the
The
diamond?
only one I'm
diamond
getting
one.
close to
Blind
it is
Diamond.
Blind Diamond
That's a
is
close
up
second.
there. That is a close second.
That is good.
Because, what was his name? Kid Blink.
Yep.
It started so well that I can't believe you continued to top it as you went along.
Muggsy McGee.
You reached a tipping point with Muggsy McGee. Here's $1.
So there was also the president of the Newsboy Union at the time, was 21-year-old David Simmons, who'd been selling papers since he was 8 years old. He was also a well-known amateur prize fighter at the local athletics club. We also had Henry Major Butts Butler.
Oh, that's too good.
Major butts. That's good stuff.
He's got the personalised number plate for sure.
Oh, yeah. He was the leader of the Upper Manhattan Union. He was arrested on July 31st, 1899 on the charge of blackmail after telling executives at the New York World that he would not break the strike for less than $600. So he was essentially like trying to bribe them. $600 back then is roughly the equivalent of about $21,000 today. So he's sort of like, yeah, no, I mean, I'll break the strike for $20,000. These kids are making a penny for each paper. So that's a fuck ton of money.
So he's willing to be a scab at the right price.
That's right. So,
for the price of like 2 million papers.
Yeah. He goes, you pay me that and then I'll definitely go back to work. I certainly won't be going to the Bahamas.
No, definitely not. I don't know that existed. One of the biggest sort of milestones or most notable events in this whole strike is Irving Hall. It was less than a week after the strike had begun. There was a citywide rally which was held at Irving Hall in Union Square in Manhattan. An estimated 5,000 newsboys attended the rally.
Wow.
So this is in less than a week. There's 5,000 of them striking and protesting. It's crazy. The rally was sponsored by State Senator Timothy D. Sullivan and was supported by the public, with many local businessmen and politicians addressing the crowd as well. So it seems like the public really got on board and were on the side of the newsboys.
You think of 5,000, and they're each selling 100 papers a day.
Yeah.
Or more, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them multiple bundles. Dave, that's probably pretty easy maths. How many papers is that?
500 billion.
That's costing them quite a lot.
Yeah, we're missing out on 500,000 papers a day.
Yeah. It's wild. When the adults had finished speaking, the union president, David Simmons, read a list of resolutions saying that the strike was to stand until the papers reduced their prices, and also calling on the newsboys to adopt non-violent methods of resistance. They're like, okay, guys, maybe put the horseshoes down.
A couple of weeks in.
Yeah.
We've had a thought.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe
the hospitals are overflowing.
Maybe they're not taking us as seriously because we're beating the shit out of everybody. The strike leader, Kid Blink, gave an impassioned speech saying, I'm trying to figure how 10 cents on 100 papers can mean more to a millionaire than it does to newsboys, and I can't see it.
It's amazing you can understand anything he said with the gun down his throat.
And the piece of fruit in front of the gun.
Yeah. It says, this is the time when we've got to stick together like glue. We know what we want and we'll get it even if we are blind. I don't fully get that, but
he's thinking about getting a second eye
get a
patch.
second eye patch. What do you reckon? Do you guys think I can pull it off? I'm thinking of putting Diamantes on the other one, though.
The double patch?
I think double Diamante too much, but one Diamante.
Single
The
diamond.
blind diamond.
At the conclusion of the night, he was presented with a floral horseshoe for best speech of the evening.
Yeah.
They did awards.
That's so good. There was a horseshoe too.
Yeah.
Because he killed a few people with those that week.
It was a bloodstained floral horseshoe.
The other sort of notable one of the night was Ed Racetrack Higgins, who also gave a speech representing the Brooklyn Union, and several papers mentioned his use of humour in his speech.
That's how you get your message across. With
Bit of fun.
humour and fun.
Classic racetrack.
He got his nickname because his torso was strangely in the shape of a racetrack. Wow. Yeah. Odd looking fella.
Brooklyn Life referred to him as a born leader of boys. And he may yet be of men. His speech at the rally went off so well that the New York Times said that if the newsboys present could have had a vote last night, Racetrack Higgins could have had any office in their gift.
Wow,
so
he could
it's
have
like,
been
he's good.
President of the boys.
President of the boys.
He could be the head boy.
Oh, head boy.
The dream. Over the following days, the newsboys also distributed flyers and hung signs around the city, encouraging people to help them in their cause by not buying the World and the Journal. The public was on their side and chose not to buy the papers, even if they were for sale. Like, even if somehow papers got through and were at a newsagent or whatever, they wouldn't buy them. So sales plummeted quickly. World circulation dropped from 360,000 to 125,000. So it's dropped pretty fast. The people seem to be against us, sites told Pulitzer on July 24th. This is only like the last memo was the 23rd. Seeds is just losing his mind. Yeah. Pulitzer's not replying, but Seeds is just going, oh God.
You cut to him, he's wearing like he's just in boxer shorts. He's not, I've lost my clothes.
Yeah, he's been sleeping at the office.
I don't know what's happening.
I'm frightened. He goes on to say they're encouraging the boys and tipping them, and they are refraining from buying the papers for fear of having them snatched from their hands.
They're tipping the boys.
Tipping the boys.
Wait, which kind?
And here's $1. That kind of tipping. So they're supporting the Newsboys in their strike and financially.
Oh, wow. I imagine the rival newspapers would be loving this, obviously, because they're two of their biggest competitors are out of the game.
It'd be so fun.
And I'm sure that they're using that very responsibly.
Oh, yes.
I imagine they all continue to pay their paper boys really well.
I'm sure they're treating their Newsboys very well.
On behalf of the boys.
Yes.
They're not thinking of their own interests. It's all about the boys.
This is about the boys. Get around the boys.
I just want to look after the boys. And some girls,
Make
but mostly
some noise,
boys.
Support the boys, yeah.
That's right.
As Greg Champion once sang.
They're trying to give full credit to those boys.
It's very nice.
Yeah, anyway, full credit to the boys. That's like, Jess, you do a great post-match interview.
Anyway, we did the boy right there. Look, full credit to the boys. They went out there and gave 110%. And it's always 110%.
Now, sorry there, young fella. You've just had a great day handing out selling papers today. How'd you see it today?
Yeah, no, it was a good match. We went out there. It's the third quarter. We came back. In the locker room, we said, now all we want to do is we want to go out. We want to really push for the front. And we did that. The boys went out there. They gave 110%. And I'm really proud of what the boys pulled out there today.
Full respect to the opposition. Obviously, they brought a great game today. They had a plan, but we worked hard and we just got it done in the end. And we're just taking it 1 week at a time. And
you don't sound puffed enough. That's my only tip.
I've been on the bench. In my act out, I'm not good enough to be on the field. Just in my act out.
I'm the
in real
captain
life, I'd easily be
who
on the field.
didn't actually hear the question, just started talking. Sometimes they're like, you didn't hear the question.
No.
And how's your mum going? Oh, full credit to the boys.
Yeah, 110%. Okay. There was a bit of a scandal, though. A day or two after the rally at Irving Hall, rumours spread among the Newsboys that strike leaders Kid Blink and David Simmons had betrayed the strike and agreed to sell the boycotted newspapers in exchange for a bribe from the newspaper executives.
Oh, my God. Not Kid Blink.
Well, both boys denied the charge. They're like, what are you talking about? Of course I didn't take a bribe.
Come on.
It doesn't seem like that would make any sense because unless they're going to use that influence to stop the strike, there's no point paying off individual boys. Just
two boys.
Yeah, true.
Just fix the conditions they're asking for. It doesn't sound like it was that unreasonable what they're asking for. Can you just charge us what everyone else does? Because we're finding it hard to, make a living wage like this.
No, let's drag this on for a few weeks. But both Kid Blink and David Simmons denied it. But some sources note that Kid Blink wore clothes a bit nicer than usual, indicating the possibility that he may have accepted a bribe.
This is when his eye patch got the Diamontes on it.
Right. You're looking a bit flashy there, Kid Blink.
You've gone a bit far
None
there.
of us are making any money at the moment.
Oh, no, they're only Diamontes. And someone's getting out the little eye thing going, that's 29 carats.
Yeah.
Is that a good amount of carats?
That's a lot of carrots.
That's a lot of carats.
Yeah, but is a lot good?
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, you want more.
You got to remember the 3 C's.
Yeah.
Carrots, carrots, carrots. Give them to me. I want them.
I love carrots.
I love carrots.
I am a rabbit.
Carrots.
What's up, Doc?
In response to these suspicions, Kid Blink and David Simmons resigned from their leadership positions. And after the rumours about Kid Blink and David Simmons' desertion of the strike, combined with their failure to obtain a parade permit, they'd been like planning to do this big parade and nobody got a permit.
Oh, no.
And then all the newsboys were like, oh, great, we've got no faith in you now.
No, we got no permit.
So
hey, Jess, so your kid Blink, there's a press conference.
Mm-hmm.
So what's brought it? You're resigning. What's brought about this decision?
Oh, yeah, nah, full credit to the boys. They went out there, they gave 110%. Some of them have thought I'm dressing a bit nicer than normal. As it turns out, I've just started dating a lady who works in a laundry, and she is cleaning my clothes. These are the same pants I've always worn. They're just, they're actually a light brown, but they've been washed. So people think they're new pants. They're the same old pants. But full credit to the boys. They've gone out there, they followed their hearts, and they've given 110%, and it's time for me to move aside.
They've gone in a different direction. I like when they, in those ones as well, they're like, I'm just sorry about, what it's done to my family.
Yeah.
Who I'm thinking about.
Most sorry to my family. My wife, Sharon, who stood by me. Sharon always stands by. But yeah, essentially the newsboys' faith in a centralised leadership was diminished. They're like, maybe we don't need one strike leader,
They're
one
starting to
face
sound
of
like
it.
Commie bastards.
But the strike,
You know me, hardcore capitalist till I die.
the strike overall
There's a dollar.
Oh, thank you.
The strike overall had been incredibly effective. Within a mere 2 weeks, the Newsboys Strike of 1899 had done so much damage to Hearst and Pulitzer's paper profits that the moguls agreed to talk. On the July
With
27,
each other or with the boys?
With
the boys.
On July 27, the World and Journal offered to sell papers to the boys at 55 cents per 100.
Nah, not enough, mate.
We'll meet you halfway, they're saying.
But the union rejected the compromise. They're like,
Good.
no, fuck you.
No, fuck you.
Yeah, if you said this 3 weeks ago before I got all my beautiful clean horseshoes all bloodied, then maybe.
Maybe, but now I've got to buy new horseshoes.
Yeah.
Or figure out how to clean them.
Yeah. And Sharon's left me.
Sharon's left me. She was not standing by me. So that was July 27. August 1st, the World and the Journal offered the newsboys a different compromise. The price of 100 newspapers would remain at 60 cents,
Oh, okay.
but,
Counter offer.
but they would buy back any unsold papers.
Okay.
So this meant that the boys who had had trouble selling all their papers wouldn't be forced to sell late into the night to avoid taking a loss for the day. So they could sort of go, well, look, I'm not selling any more for the day. I'm going to call it here, and then the newspaper would buy them back.
Bit of work-life balance.
Yeah, exactly. So the newsboys accepted this compromise, ending the strike, and they disbanded the union on August 2nd, 1899. They did it. A bunch of kids
Well done.
fought against two millionaires, such wealthy men, fighting over a few cents to take them out of the hands of children. Cool.
That's a beautiful story.
It sounds like the right people won.
Yeah.
The 1899 strike was credited with inspiring later strikes in Montana and Kentucky, and within the next couple of decades, there were introductions of child welfare laws that led to improvements in the newsboys' quality of life. So it had ripple effects as well, which is nice.
That's good.
The events of the 99 strike inspired the 1992 Disney film Newsies, including a character named Kid Blink, who wears an eye patch. But in this version of the story, the leader of the strike was named Jack Kelly. It is a musical, sorry, Dave. And Jack Kelly is played by Christian Bale.
No way.
A young Christian
He must have been
Bale.
so young, yeah.
Bill Pullman is also in it, and Robert Duvall plays Pulitzer.
Wow.
It's quite a cast.
That's quite a cast.
Oh, wow. I've just seen the first screenshot I've seen on IMDb. It's a bunch of kids singing, and I will not be watching
No.
that.
I mean, it is a musical, and you've just heard the story it's about.
They've
Why
got
are you
kids in
surprised
this?
it's kids singing?
But they're dressed exactly like you'd imagine, and that's why it's a no from me.
They're also dressed a little bit like Dave Warnicky. I could see you're wearing a...
It's your sort of palette.
Your
I want you
yes.
to know that I think as soon as you said newsboy, I'm like, I would have been a great newsboy.
Yeah.
You would have been a
Would have
great
been.
newsboy.
You still would be.
I think I've missed my prime, but I think I could be out there being like, come on down by the Herald Sun.
Yeah.
We got a great story about...
Maybe you should try selling records at the footy or something.
Record
seller.
$2. That'll age this. They're probably like $25
Yeah.
there. Records.
Do they sell-
$2.
They sell the record every week?
Yeah. Every game.
Every game. Wow.
They're
Who's
not always-
writing the records?
I think AFL Media or something. Something pretty excitingly named like that. But yeah, I think it's the one record, but each week will have its own individual. I haven't bought one for a long time. I used to buy them every round. I got a box of them somewhere.
Yeah, wow.
Going back to 89.
Jesus Christ, you are old.
Yeah. As old as the wind. Trying to tell you. I was buying records before you were even born.
Wow.
That's quite a record in itself.
That is.
Records, what is that like a normal term?
I don't know what else you'd call them.
Programs, I guess.
Yeah, I guess
programs
so.
for footy programs.
It would be like a theatre program, but it's for a footy game.
Yeah.
Who'll be playing the role of full forward tonight?
The first time I heard of this musical Newsies, I think was when an episode a year or so ago, I was trying to figure out where this joke I remember from childhood came from, where the guy goes, "It's Weasel," and a few people said,
Is that this movie?
It's not, but
okay.
I think it's a joke that's been in a bunch of things somehow.
Right.
Well, I think where I was thinking of was Tailspin, a Disney cartoon.
Yep.
But apparently there's something like that in this, I think.
Oh, okay.
Newsies.
Well, a couple of the people that suggested this topic say that, like, Newsies is their favourite musical because it was a Disney film, but then a musical adaptation of the film, also called Newsies, debuted in 2011 on Broadway. Oh, it played on Broadway from 2012 to 2014 and then toured for a couple of years as well. And in November of 2022, a production of Newsies opened off West End in London for a limited run as well. So it's a pretty big musical too.
Right, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, Newsies.
We've really got to get back to the West End and perform.
Yeah, where we belong.
Can we do a musical version of the podcast? I did pitch to Dave and Jess before we started recording that we do a live show with the MSO, the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra, at some point.
I think that'd
be nice.
They seem to branch out more and more every year.
Yeah.
I think it's time they finally scored a live podcast.
I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
High art meeting, high art.
That's right. Double high art.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can go wrong.
I think that makes it triple high art.
I think
somehow.
there'd essentially be like parts of the orchestra that would play for each of us. I think mine would be like, I don't know, something kind of nice and like strings or something, and yours would just be like, bomb, bomb, bomb,
I was thinking it'd be like a jump.
It'd be a jump. Every time you interrupt and start doing something dumb, it just goes, Sorry, something high art.
Yes. Like a jug blowing into a jug. With them out.
I don't know. Dave can be a drum or something. Or a bass. You love bass.
Everything's a drum.
Yeah, yours is quite sexy. Anyway, I like how
Dave, sorry, we come back to this sporadically. This is going to be a tough one. Dave says his talent is turning things into porn parodies. How do you turn Newsies into a porn parody? Obviously, first
boobies.
First, what you do is
Boobies is good.
You make sure all the boys are men. I think that's probably the first thing you do.
Yeah, because it'd probably be something like newbies or something. You know, it's like young men, 18 plus, in the office or something like that. But boobies is much better.
Boobies.
Boobies is very
Boobies
good.
is very extra. Double D. We're about it. Dave's better at it. Double D about it.
I mean, I came up with boobies.
Okay.
So maybe I'm better at it.
Okay.
Anyway,
well done,
backup
Dave.
pitch is screwsies.
Screwsies is better.
Screwsies.
Screwsies is better.
It's a tighter rhyme, I guess.
Yeah. Boobies is a bit, it's a longer bow.
Yeah.
Screwsies is it?
Screwsies. And what would instead of extra read all about it, it would be?
Sextra.
Oh my God. I'm so bad at this.
Yeah. That one felt obvious. Sextra.
Sextra. Cream all about it.
Cream all about it.
Cream all about tit.
Okay.
Oh my God.
All right, you two work very well as a team.
Is the West End listening to this podcast? This could be big.
This high art.
Is there an adult West End?
It's a South End.
Yeah. The rear end.
That's silly.
That's good stuff.
Let me just, I've got one little paragraph left because I like how all that's interesting sums it all up. It says the Disney film proved so popular that it was later adapted for Broadway, but the Disney version of the Newsboy Strike of 1899 does leave out some key details. Namely, young newsies continued to struggle in poverty even after winning concessions from Hearst and Pulitzer. It took another 20 years for the United States to enact child labour laws. Until then, Newsboys continued on as much as they always had. But for one brief, glorious moment, the Newsboys of New York City grabbed the world's attention. They went head-to-head with some of the richest and most powerful men, and against all odds, this ragtag crowd roared to victory. You know, I love anything that says ragtag.
Yeah, well done.
So that's a great way of summing it up from all that's interesting. But yeah, it's like it felt like a kind of cute short story. I liked that it was a bunch of kids striking against some wealthy men who could absolutely spare the cash.
Yes.
And they won.
And it's a shame because obviously they can't. It's hard to when you're struggling for money in the first place.
Yeah.
Striking is a hard thing. It's a big sacrifice
Of course,
to make.
yeah.
So because you're like, I wish they just stuck at it, got the price reduction and the deal that they could sell them back.
Yeah, they kept it all.
But they also have to live.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's a good system that we've got.
And they were no longer newsboys; they were newsmen.
Cream all about it.
Extra.
Cream all about it.
Oh,
I really
my
did. When
God.
I brought it up, I thought there's not a lot of room here.
Yeah.
But boy, was I wrong.
But Screwsies coming next summer.
Oh, God. And you know how coming spelled?
Yes.
And you know how coming spelled. Oh, fantastic. Now it's time for everyone's favourite section of the show where we get to thank some of our fantastic Patreon supporters. If you want to get involved in this, you just have to go to patreon.com/DukeOnPod. There's a bunch of different levels you can sign up to. Dave, what are some examples?
Oh, there's all sorts of different levels. You can vote for topics. You can join the Facebook group at any level. It's a lovely corner of the internet.
That's right.
People are very nice. Organise their own swaps going on in there. There's been t-shirt swaps and magnet swaps around the world, which is so cool. People have been meeting up at gigs, connecting. It's really, really nice. Also, bonus episodes. We have put out over 190 and counting. And as soon as you subscribe at the bonus level or above, you get access to the back catalogue. And we're putting out 3 more a month. So
soon to be 4 more a month if we hit a target soon. You might be noticing that Jess has popped down a bit. And she did a lot of chatting during this episode. She told that report. She did most of the talking. So she's just quietly sitting in the corner of the room now.
That's right. She's holding a microphone, but I don't know if she'll speak.
She is. Actually, she's holding up a piece of paper now saying, Boppy's on strike.
Not Boppy.
Not Boppy.
Oh, not Boppy.
Not Boppy. No, Boppy, please.
We need our Boppy.
No, she's standing firm. Okay. No, she's at the run off to go to a gig in a country town.
I'm trying to give her a live performance in Bendigo.
She's giving one to the good people of Bendigo.
They're welcome. They are welcome.
They are welcome. So, yeah, you can sign up on all these sorts of levels. I can't wait to start doing that 4th bonus episode a month, which is going to be a D&D campaign.
That's right. Dungeons and Dragons. Do go D&D. There's a name in there somewhere. We haven't quite worked it out.
The 2 biggest Ds out there. Dungeons and Dragons.
That's a double D.
And but the first thing we like to do in this section of the show, it takes about half an hour, maybe 40 minutes, and we thank a bunch of different people who've been supporting us on there.
And we have some fun along the way.
We try and have a bit of fun.
Exactly. We learn about them and each other.
This bit of the show, it's for the supporters, but more than that, it's for us.
That's right. Fills my heart.
The first thing we like to do is the fact, quote, or question section, which has a little jingle, goes something like this.
Fact, quote, or question.
Ding.
Imagine how good that would be with the MSO under it.
Oh, that'd be so good with the MSO right under that ding.
Wow, the
What is
ding.
it, the timpani do a big ding?
Yeah,
what does the timpani do?
There'd be like a percussionist over there with like a little bell.
Yeah.
Or maybe on the glockenspiel.
Oh, he could, yeah, really.
You'd have to work out the perfect note. Ding.
Yeah.
And they'd hit it every time.
Anyway, he always remembers the sing. I always remember the ding. And this section, if you sign up on the Sydney Scheinberg level or above, you get to give us a fact, quote, or a question, or a brag, or a suggestion, or really whatever you like. I'll read 4 of them out each week, and I don't read them out till I read them out. And you also get to give yourself a title. The first one this week comes from Mark Wen, aka Perpetually Confused. And
So
Mark,
because his name is Mark Wen?
Mark Wen.
People like Mark Wen.
Mark Wen.
It's confusing for everyone.
Men, please. Men.
Let's be honest, it's men who get confused.
Yeah.
Men, please.
And Mark Wen, Perpetually Confused, is the title, is offering us a brag, writing, "My home in northern Canada likes to boast that the song Summer of 69 is partially inspired by our town because Bryan Adams' co-writer Jim Vallance lived there in 1969. Nice.
Nice.
Do you guys have any hometown facts that you're weirdly proud of?
Ooh.
What do you see as your hometown?
I would see the suburb I probably grew up in, which is Eltham. And I went to Eltham East Primary School, and there was a cricketer that had gone there about 10 years or 15 years before, maybe 20 years before. Eltham East Primary School. I can't remember who it was.
Was it Tony Doddermaid? He was a cricketer, wasn't he?
Tony Doddermain.
While you're thinking, I'll say mine was probably, if it was Kyneton. Kyneton is where Heath McIver, the man behind Randy, is from. So I guess Randy, the puppet, is from my hometown, I think you could say.
Oh, yeah, great.
And, but from Moorabbin, that is obviously the home of the Saints. So that's, I don't know if I brought that up before, but yeah, the St Kilda Football Club is based in Moorabbin. Yeah, so was it Tony Doddermaid?
Well, I think I've got a feeling it was Adam Dale.
Adam Dale.
Do you know who played a couple of tests, 31-day internationals? He was born in Ivanhoe, Victoria, so it's checking out, born in 68. So, you know, a couple of decades older than I was. Did he go to Eltham East Primary School? I feel like there was someone of a similar era and someone like that who, you know, was there a bit.
Love that. That's a great claim to fame. And
sorry, this is not as exciting as you were probably thinking.
Yeah, it's not quite co-writer of Summer of 69, is it, Dave? But
no,
not quite. Close. It's a great question, though. I'd love.
One time.
Okay, here we go.
I was at the Coles in Eltham.
Yep.
And one of the great actors, comedians, media personalities, Miriam Margolyes, was there because she, for a while, lived in Eltham.
Wow, did she? Has she ever spilt the tea on you? I often see that in my news feed, there's an article about Miriam Margolyes spills the tea on working with someone or other.
Oh, the best thing is she just doesn't give a shit, which I love.
They're the people who love spilling tea the most. Or don't even love it, they just do it. What about this, Dave? When I used to work at Safeway Moorabbin, Woolworths, that's a supermarket, regular customers who used to shop as a band, She had.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
For a while, also known as?
They were known as Pacifier.
Pacifier. Wow.
Yeah. And I love they just walked down the aisles pushing a trolley, the four of them. What a time.
Wow. This, according to Eltham's Wikipedia page, notable residents include Wilbur Wilde.
Wow.
Merrick Watts. Didn't know that. It says here Cadell Evans, cyclist. Winner of the Tour de France.
These are some big names.
Peter Hitchner, newsreader. Is this true? Is the Hitch from Eltham?
Eltham is it's a real hotspot.
Emily Browning, the actor, I did know that because she was a couple of years older than me at school, and I went to a different school, but I knew people that went to school with her.
Who's that? Who's Emily Browning?
In a bunch of movies. She was like a child actor, but then also has gone on to be in lots and lots of stuff.
Yeah, cool. Merrick Watts is the first stand-up show I ever saw. And when I did Celebrity Letters and Numbers last year or this year, whenever it was, he was on it. I said it to him. I said, "You're the first, comedy show I ever saw, Merrick. Oh, pleasure to meet you."
That's great. I mean, and he looks better than ever, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, fit as a fiddle.
Very fit man.
Very fit man. What was the name of that actor? We've got sidetracked so quickly.
Who are we talking about? Emily Browning.
Emily Browning.
That's right.
I want to know. Oh, yep. I know her. I know her from a bunch of things.
Yeah, and still in lots of stuff.
She went to your school.
Well, she went to Eltham High School, which is not the school I went to, but I knew we had mutual friends. Had a few parties and things like that.
None of these show. Oh no, I've heard of The Man Who Sued God with Billy Connolly. I don't know if I've seen it though. Lemony Snicket.
Ghost Ship.
Why do I recognise her? I haven't seen any of these. Oh, Ned Kelly with the Joker. Heath Ledger.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy, brain's going real well. All right. Who we taught? Mark Wen. That was our first Fat Quarter question. Feels like I read that out 3 weeks ago. Thank you very much, Mark. And congratulations on living so close to where someone got their first real six string.
Damn right. So cool.
Next up, I'd love to thank Lauren Joyner, aka Sandwich Aficionado. I love a sandwich.
Me too.
And Lauren is offering us a fact writing. I'm using fact loosely here. My husband and I audibly gasped in unison while listening to episode 402, The Great Wine Fraud, because of the mention of Hollywood Jeff with one F and his masterpiece, Ghoulies.
Oh, yeah.
That's so funny because I was listening. I wasn't on that episode, but I was listening to that. I remember where I was in the supermarket.
When you heard Ghoulies.
When I heard you were talking about Ghoulies.
And did you look over
you were
and-
later, you were surprised that in England they're a nickname for balls. Because I'm like, of course Ghoulies are a nickname for balls. But as I read it here, Ghoulies, I wouldn't have connected the two
Yes.
there. Anyway, back to Lauren. She continues by saying... we enjoyed watching truly shitty horror movies in October, and this was one of our picks in 2021. It has lived rent-free in my head since. Now, time for facts. The movie was in production at the same time as Gremlins, but stalled because of budget stuff, so Gremlins came out first. Ghoulies is massively different in that a college dude inherits a mansion and within like a day or two becomes a satanic cult leader who tries to sacrifice his friends. Brackets, I think. Including Mariska Hargitay.
Oh, wow.
Law
Law
and
and
Order
Order.
SVU in her first role. The Ghoulies are just there, I guess. I still don't understand how they factor in. The movie starts with a human sacrifice, and the cover image of the ghoulie coming out of the toilet in suspenders was definitely not in the movie, though they added a toilet ghoulie in post to make it seem more whimsical like Gremlins. Also, the production company that made it is called Ghoulie Productions, so they were really putting all their eggs in one basket, or all their ghoulies in one toilet. All that to say, watch it and laugh at it. It's truly terrible in the best way. Thanks so much, Lauren. That's fantastic.
Great one.
I love a follow up on a tangent.
Yeah, and I love thinking about Ghoulies.
The main character in that episode, did he have a hand in producing that or something?
I think his friend was Hollywood Jeff,
Right.
who he drank wine with a lot.
Hollywood Jeff.
They were in a couple of those wine drinking societies
That's right.
together, yeah.
Hollywood Jeff is so
Hollywood
fun.
Jeff.
Thank you, Lauren. The next one comes from Jacoby Austin DeAngel. And Jacoby, a.k.a. reformed writer of bloody long fact quotes and questions. Sorry, Jess. And Jacoby...
She's not listening, mate. She's taking the headphones off.
Oh, I was wondering why she had to head off. She looked ahead at the fact quotes and questions, which I never do. I don't read them out until I read them out.
Yes, she hacked the doc.
And Jacoby's asking a question, writing, "Hello, Matt, Jess, and Dave." He said, "and the rest," but I refused to.
Oh my God, Jacoby. I was sticking up for you.
I think he chose you because you're the strongest of us,
I can take it.
but also you're the one who loves that joke the most.
And the rest.
After my last fact, which I accidentally marked as a question, turned out to be a mini report, I decided that I must shorten these facts, quotes, and questions for everyone's sake. I'd like to turn in an actual question this time. And the question is, which Parks and Rec character are you most like? Oh, do you watch
most
it?
like, yeah.
Great.
I
You can
wish
help me
Jess
out
was
then.
here because she's watched it like 38 times.
Okay.
Who am I most like? Who do I most like?
I think during COVID, I tried to watch it and I didn't get through the first season. And everyone says, "Oh, you don't watch the first season, start the
I say that for
second."
every show, which is so bad.
But, I'm not sure who I would be. They all seem nice. Probably Leslie Mann. No, what's
Leslie Nope.
Leslie Nope. She's not playing the real person, Leslie Mann. Do you think I'd be Leslie Nope? Yes or nope?
I'm going to say Nope.
Okay. While you're thinking, Dave.
I don't want to admit it, but maybe I'm a bit uptight like Ben, who's the one that gets with Leslie.
Gets with her.
Well, they get together.
Is that
Adam Scott?
Adam Scott.
Who's a bit uptight.
I haven't listened yet, actually, but Adam Scott Ockerman have just started a new series of their You Talking You Two to Me podcast.
Oh, yes, you love that.
But it's with Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, and the title of it is?
Good question. You springin' Springsteen on my bean?
That's great. That's really, really
Jacoby
good.
answers his own question here. Do you want to hear it, Dave?
Yes, please.
We always encourage people in the Fact Quote or Questions section to answer their own questions if they can. Jacoby writes, since it's my favourite show, I'm a bit like all the characters, but lately I've been feeling a lot like Leslie. Way too excited about things, very talkative, and a huge love for waffles and other breakfast foods. I'm trying to be more like Ron. Yeah, well, I don't think he's talked me out of feeling like Leslie there. I like breakfast foods.
Yeah. You definitely know Ron. Ron's big on eating meat.
Yeah.
Loves
and he's
the
like
meat.
also very handy.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm very handsy.
Your words, not mine. My favourite character is probably Jerry.
Jerry.
You know Jerry? Very funny. Also known as Gary.
Okay. Oh, I see Gary from Gary. People have sent me that meme a lot, which is just like a quote of a guy saying, I'm Gary from Gary, Indiana or something.
I can't remember. I've seen most of it years ago.
If there's a Gary, I'm going to say I'm a Gary. Or unless you can tell me who I am. You're in a better position than me.
I mean, it's difficult. I don't know the show as well.
I feel like I've got the temperament of Ron Swanson, maybe, at times.
You've got the mustache.
The mustache. That's what I
you're
meant.
thinking
So
of.
I said temperament. I meant temper mustache. Great question, Jacoby. Dave, you've put him in a spin. He's taken this very seriously. Okay,
Because
Jacoby.
I'm trying to look at all the characters now, being like, do I remember who that one was?
What about the guy who's now the superhero?
Andy Dwyer, played by Chris Pratt.
Yeah, am I like him?
He's a bit goofy.
Goofy? I'm
But very
pretty goofy.
very funny.
On purpose, though?
Yeah. No, not on purpose.
Yeah, well, that sounds like me.
Yeah, okay, maybe we'll give you that.
All right, I'm Chris Pratt.
And Jess, why don't we? I reckon you can put an asterisk there. We can come back to that question because she'd enjoy answering this one. I think because she's a big fan of the show. Big fan.
Jacoby, feel free to send it in again.
Yeah, we want to know from Jess.
I mean, that helps prove that we really don't read it.
She's nearly always here. I swear.
Yeah, she hasn't been lately, but she normally is. All right, and the last one this week comes from Sky, aka Maker Upper of Faxter.
Faxter.
And where you can write fact quote, a question, break, suggestion, etc. Sky's written fake fact.
Great.
Writing, the green at Packers were all originally embalmers, and the name comes from the arse packing.
Is this for Green Bay Packers?
Yeah. I think it's meant to say the Green Bay Packers, but it says the green at Packers. I wonder what time of night that came in.
That's
Sky.
funny.
It's hard to know because in Australian time, that came in at nearly 3 a.m. So depending on where Sky's from, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a late night
3
pub
a.m.
fact.
Or just popped into your mind, I've got to write that in. That's my fact quote question. It's a Green Bay Packers.
I can write this fake fact down.
They used to embalm people and pack their asses.
The green at Packers. Sky, that is fantastic work. Thank
I'd
you
love
so
some
much.
more fake facts. That's fun.
Really appreciate the fine work of Sky, Jacoby, Lauren, and Mark. Next thing we like to do is thank a few of our other great Patreon supporters. Normally, Jess comes up with a bit of a game based on the topic of the day. Dave, any thoughts on this? What are they striking for?
Or if they're like instead of newsboys, what kind of
boys are they?
yeah, newsboys. Yeah, you could say what they're striking for.
Am I right? Does this make sense? Paper boys, is that a phrase?
Yeah, paper. But that's what you were.
That's what I was when I was a kid, right? That's what I was when I was a kid, right?
Yeah, that's right. You used to paper boy. You had a paper round.
Yeah.
You're a boy. You're a paper boy.
Paper boy. But in the old times, or at least in the American times,
Newsies.
Newsboys.
Newsboys.
It's not as good.
Newsies.
Surely, paper boy. That just sounds better. The
Pepper
peas,
boy.
the bees.
The peas and the bees. Got it all.
All right. How about, do you want to read out the names or do you want to come up with the kind of boys they are?
How about I start out reading out the names and then
All right.
we can swap.
Okay.
Okay. From Mount Pleasant in South Carolina,
Okay.
we have Alex Drew. Thank you, Alex.
A garden boy. So this is what Alex does. And I was hearing about this from Bill Bryson book, but there was a time where rich people would pay for someone to live in their garden, like a living gnome, and they'd have their own little house and they just have to be there and just live there. That was the job and they got paid.
But the job is to look after the garden?
No, the job is just to be the living gnome. So that's what Alex Drew is, a garden boy, just living in a garden in a little hut. Apparently everyone lost interest. No one ever stuck around. I'm wondering if there's enough in it for a topic. Cause
That sounds incredible.
It's really interesting.
And it was just kind of like, I'm rich enough, I'll have this.
Yeah, it's just like for my entertainment. It's just a bit of fun in the garden. Some people have a little concrete gnome.
I've got a real gnome.
I've got a real gnome.
Wow, Alex Drew. And we should say, for these people, if you're not a boy or have never been a boy, you're all honorary boys this week.
Wow. And Dave has the power to do that. He's head boy.
I'm head boy, and I'm bestowing upon you the right to call yourself a boy. Next up, we have from location unknown. We can only assume it's deep within the Fortress of the Moles. And thank you to Ariel Woodhouse.
Oh, what a great name. Would have made a great name for a garden boy. But I think Ariel Woodhouse is a flyboy.
Okay, talk me through a flyboy. You flyboys.
Flyboy. Well, they're boys that can fly, basically.
Right.
But winged boys. But again, this is just rich people pay you to wear wings, and they have a harness rigged up. So they're like, you look like you're a butterfly, basically. So they got a big butterfly enclosure.
And you just sort of hang from the ceiling.
And you're sort of, like you're flying around. And that's your full-time gig.
You do it 24/7.
Not 24/7. You get your 8 hours on. There's 3 of you that rotate.
Right, but it's a fly in, fly out kind of gig.
It's a FIFO gig, yeah.
Great one from Limassol in, oh my God, where's CY?
CY? I think that's Cyprus, maybe?
Yeah, my goodness.
Could it be?
Could it be? Limassol in Cyprus. Fantastic. A big shout out and a big thank you to, I've lost the tab here because I was just so excited about Googling where Limassol is. Big thank you to Andrew Beer.
Andrew Beer.
Oh, that's great. Is it a beer boy?
Could it be a beer boy?
What's a beer boy?
I think Andrew Beer is a beer boy. So what Andrew does is he lives in a rich person's bar in their basement. And he just, it's like a standing spa, but it's in the shape of a stein, glass stein, full of beer. And he's just there, like arms up on the edge of the stein.
Oh, right. Like you swam up to a swim up bar,
Yeah,
but he's
exactly.
just the swim up stein.
Swim up stein, yeah. So he's just there, just to add a bit of ambiance into the rich people's home bar.
Yeah, that's my bar. That's my beer boy. Thank you so much to Andrew Beer. I've looked at Limassol. It's on the southern coast of Cyprus. It's known for the centuries-old Limassol Castle and home to the Cyprus Medieval Museum.
Beer boy. So good.
I've got to tell you, it looks very beautiful. Thanks, Beer Boy. And thank you now from Greenville, also South Carolina. My goodness, it's Garrett Denully.
Garrett Denully, homeboy. And so Garrett, basically what he does, a rich person, right?
Yeah.
Pays for Garrett just to be around the home.
Yeah.
Just to see, just like, oh, no. People will say sometimes that rich are out of touch or whatever.
Yeah.
But what Garrett does is he allows his owner or employer, you could say, to be like, no, I'm still in touch. I've got my own homeboy. I talk to them, most weeks.
He keeps me grounded, my homeboy.
My homeboy keeps me grounded. Got to keep my homeboys around. And yeah, Garrett is one of many homeboys. The rich you are, the more homeboys you have.
Oh, wow. So you can have like a full
entourage of homeboys.
Full entourage of homeboys.
If you're, quite wealthy. Everyone's got a turtle. That's a different thing.
Yeah,
That's
good on you, Garrett Denully. Great name. And thank you to 2 people this time from Appleton all the way over in Wisconsin. Thank you to Harrison and Rebecca Ellis.
Appleton makes me think fruit, makes me think multiples. We got boysenberries. Harrison and Rebecca are the boysenberries. So rich people pay for them. Sort of like in a Willy Wonka type thing world, they've figured out the recipe to make human boysenberry boys. And Harrison and Rebecca, they each morning when they clock on, they eat the syrup.
Yep.
Or drink it. Syrup's funny because it's very viscous. So do you eat it or do you drink it?
I chew it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
They have that. They become boysenberries, which were, of course, I think popularized on that farm in America.
That's right. We did a Patreon bonus episode where I talked you and Jess through some words named after people. And boysenberry is named after the creator of the boysenberry, something Boysen, who's basically sold the idea for a very low price to another farmer who made millions off it, made boysenberries. It's a mixture of other berries crossbred together.
And Harrison and Rebecca crossbred to make the boysenberry boys.
Wow. And you never believe this. They're from Appleton in Wisconsin. And that is not very far from Green Bay, Wisconsin, where
they pack asses.
As the funeral people, I think it looks to be only about 10 to 20k out of Green Bay.
Bloody hell. Appleton is such a nice name for a place.
Lovely. I'd like to thank now from Crestmead in Queensland, it's Kylie Tully.
Kylie Tully is a boy wonder. So what Kylie does is she's hired by a rich man named Bruce Wayne and basically just does sidekick duties.
Yeah, right. Rides in the sidecar.
Gives something for Bruce to bounce off.
Yeah, right. Sometimes literally.
Yeah. Pow. Bounce. Boing.
That's
those
right.
sort of.
He uses them like a human trampoline.
Yeah. That's Kylie, tough job, but
someone's
well-paying job.
But exactly. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Come on.
And we all know that billionaires get that way by paying everyone fairly.
Exactly. Giving away their way and acting ethically in every single possible way. Thank you to Kylie. I would like to thank now from Gilroy in California.
Me being so rough on billionaires today is going to come back to bite me when I'm a really big billionaire.
It's embarrassing for you. People will play this tape to you.
Delete the tapes.
Oh my gosh.
I was being ironic. I think actually being a billionaire is one of the most cool things you can do.
It's one of the most humane things you can do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sometimes sharing means keeping it. You know, sharing isn't always giving. Sometimes it's taking and keeping.
I share with myself.
Yeah. Just in case. I'm keeping it safe for everyone.
That's right. I mean, I trust myself, but I don't trust anyone else.
No. So I'm going to keep it and let me know if you need it. No, let me know if you really need it. No, this doesn't count.
No, your wages and your livelihood doesn't count. From Gilroy in California, it's Rowan Williams. What about Rowan Williams is the bin boy.
Oh, bin boy.
You know, rich people.
Yes.
They don't like getting their hands dirty.
No.
And often the dirtiest part of taking out the trash
is living in the trash can.
It's when you put it in the bin and you drop it off. But don't worry, there's a human bin boy that pops up Oscar the Grouch style and says, "I'll take that, sir."
In fact, doesn't just say that, says, "Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Thank you for this bag of treasures."
I will treasure this.
I'll treasure this bag of rubbish, sir. To me, it's not rubbish. It's gold.
And that accent comes from Rowan Williams from Gilroy, California. On
you
Rowan.
can hear the sunshine off his voice there, can't you?
And second to last, but definitely
not second to least.
Exactly. From location unknown, another fortress dweller we can imagine. It's Keziah O'Neill.
Keziah the Messiah. Keziah is not the Messiah. Keziah is just a very naughty boy.
The naughty boy.
The naughty boy. And rich people need these around.
You need a naughty boy.
They used to call them jesters, but these days they call them naughty boys.
Naughty boys.
And they just do silly things to sort of appease the king and queen.
Yeah, do a bit of juggling. falling over, but a slapstick.
Yeah, and the modern day king and queens are, of course, media moguls.
Yeah, that's right. Your Rupert Murdochs,
Yeah.
etc. And finally, I would like to thank from location also unknown, maybe right next to Keziah in the fortress. Thank you to Paul.
Paul.
You know who you are, Paul.
Surname starts with N. I don't know if Paul is looking to stay anonymous, so I'm just going off your email address there, Paul, just in case you're going, could that be me?
Could it be me?
How many Pauls are in this mole house? Raise your hands. But it's so dark in there, they can't see. Who's got, how many have you got? Now click your hands. Okay, I'm confused. I'm hearing a lot of clicks.
So you click them once each, but then not at the same time.
One after the other, please. Oh, start again. I've lost count. And Paul, the final boy, is the final boy.
Oh, the final
The
boy.
last ever boy.
Wow.
So what the rich people have done to Paul is they've frozen him in time. As humanity starts to die out, they're realizing that eventually everyone's going to be old and we'll have no boys left. And they're like, as all the poor,
Can you imagine?
As all the poor in the world dies, they're all too old, the rich people, to have babies. So they've got the final boy, the forever boy.
The forever boy.
And that is Paul. So they share him around. Everyone gets a week with the boy, the forever boy.
I want to just sit in your lounge room
Yeah.
and you go, hey, that's the boy, the last ever boy we've got him this week.
Yeah, we've got the boy this week. Do you want to go play catch, final boy? Yeah, that sort of stuff.
So you get like one of those Velcro balls and just throw it at the tank that Paul's frozen in.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you're picturing.
Oh, I was imagining he's frozen in some sort of tank.
That's
like
funny.
Austin Powers style when he's thawed out.
I was thinking they had the technology so that they could just like go, you don't age now. But that yours is much funnier.
You said the phrase frozen in time.
Frozen in
But
time.
you just meant he'll never age.
He'll never age,
So
yeah.
I was
No, yours is way
literally,
funnier.
Paul is in a tank.
I
as a boy.
imagine the way I phrase that, I think most people listening are like, yeah, we also were picturing a boy in a block.
How do you play catch?
Well, thanks to all our great boys.
All the best boys. They're all best boys in my heart.
Yeah, they each had a different title, but all in all
best
the best boys. Thank you so much to Paul, Keziah, Rowan, Kylie, Harrison, Rebecca, Garrett, Andrew, Ariel, and Alex. The last thing we need to do, Dave, is welcome a few people into the Triptych Club. This week, it looks like we have 7 inductees. Now, do you want to explain what this thing's all about?
Oh, basically, this is our Hall of Fame, our Triptych Club, where we celebrate people that have been supporting the show for 3 consecutive years. We've already given them a shout out, but to enshrine them in our Hall of Fame, we welcome them into the clubhouse. Their name goes up on a wall. Everyone cheers them as they come in. It's a real theatre of the mind experience. Jess is behind the bar, got food and snacks. I book music. Matt's there hanging out with you, playing some snooker, playing some foosball. You know, we've got the big game, whatever you want it to be, up on the screen.
The big game's there.
Exactly. The biggest game.
We have the biggest game of all.
Exactly.
We've got the game of life, yes. We've got secret cameras in people's homes and we put them up. This is what I imagine rich people do.
just watch people.
It's it's real Katniss Everdeen stuff.
Yeah.
I can only ever remember one piece of that world.
It's
Right now, I
Katniss?
can't think of the name of it.
The Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games. It's a real Hunger Games scenario.
Suzanne Collins.
Sometimes I just remember the bird or whatever, but I can't remember that bit. My brain only ever has room for one part.
One bit. Well, you've got Katniss. That's a good part.
No, you've pushed that bit out by saying Hunger Games. Anyway, so we've got 7 inductees this week. Jess normally has some food up behind the bar. She let us know that the food they're serving this week is fish and chips, wrapped up in newspaper.
Oh my gosh.
And the drinks are... They're newsy drinks, and they're just made with black and white, and they're red all over. The black Sambuca, the white milk. This is exactly what I did last week. It was black, white, and red, and the red's cranberry juice. We've rebadged it. No one drank them last week.
It was a new name.
And yes, and Dave, you've booked a band. You normally book.
You're
a
never
band?
going to believe it. This person has been gracing our screens for 35 years now.
35 years.
35 years. And obviously it takes a long time to book. This has been 35 years in the making, ever since I saw this man when he was but a boy.
You're not talking about
I am talking about
Emily Browning?
even older, star of Newsies. Christian Bale is here to do a mixture of music and monologues.
Oh, are any of the monologues him abusing the crew?
That's the encore. That's the encore. Him coming out and absolutely losing his mind at some poor crew member.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. Oh, and if it could be you.
So if you play a card, right, we'll get you on stage, and you'll have a camera in your hand, and he'll come out and absolutely berate you.
Oh wow, that's the kind of stuff you can get. These are the once in a lifetime opportunities you get inside the Triptych Club.
That's right.
And for new listeners, we do now know that it's pronounced triptych.
That's right.
It's a joke that we've always been in on.
We've been in on it. My art teacher in high school just said it wrong, and I've just said it wrong as well. So.
You've passed it on to so many people.
I know. We've even had someone comment before saying that they corrected someone who said triptych, and they're like, actually it's triptych, and then they were wrong.
That gave me the old full body cringe.
Yeah, I felt so bad for you. I'm so sorry. But take it up with Miss Dale.
Any relation to the cricketer?
From Adam Dale.
Oh my God.
Maybe. Remember, that's who I was thinking of. A former student.
I thought you were, when you said Adam Dale, I thought Alan Dale, the Australian actor who was on Neighbours and then the OC and Ugly Betty.
Would you believe that is what I first typed into Google?
I would believe that.
Cricketer Alan Dale. It said, did you mean Adam Dale? And I went, yes.
And you're also confusing with the South African fast bowler, Alan?
Dale Steyn?
Oh, yeah.
Or are you talking about Alan Donald?
Alan Donald.
There's so many.
Anyway, we've got 7 inductees this week. Dave's on stage. He's going to be hyping you up. The crowd's going to go wild. I'm on the door. I'm going to lift the velvet rope. I'm going to read your name off the list. Jogging. We want you getting up a bit of momentum so you can really receive the adulation as it's intended. And that is with some force. Some velocity. All right, here we go. First up, I'd love to welcome into the club from Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the United States, it's Zoe.
Zoe is my broy.
One of the great boys.
Next up from very boy-y episode, this one.
From St. Veit and Gulsen in Austria.
Incredible.
It's Daniel Graham.
Bam. Wham. Oh, no, wham, bam. Thank you, Daniel Graham.
From Reservoir in Victoria, here in Melbourne, Australia, it's Emelesque.
Reservoir, never a bore. It's Emelesque.
And from Rosetta in Tasmania, Australia, I'd love to welcome into the club. We met this man during the comedy festival. It's David Loring.
An absolute delight. Nothing better from Rosetta. It's David Loring.
What a delight catching the late flight.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd also love to welcome into the club from Brown Hill. Beautiful name for a place in Victoria, Australia. It's Paige Winkle.
Turn the page. What do you see? It's Paige Winkle. So, is that anything?
Turn the page. What do you get? It's Paige Winkle.
Just move on.
Yeah. And from Address Unknown, I can only assume from deep within the fortress of the moles, it's Katie, possibly with a surname starting with B.
More like Katie 180. So it's Katie 180.
Yeah, Katie 180.
Pretty good.
You turn back around and come back in here because that's where we want you.
Come on in.
Turn the page, 180. Winkle.
Hold on.
What about Winkle? There's something there.
Sprinkle. I need more than just a sprinkle of Paige Winkle.
Yeah, fantastic.
So there's something there.
And finally from Collaroy Plateau, New South Wales.
I've never heard of that.
Here in Australia, it's Lockie Twos.
The new Brocky, it's Lockie Twos.
Lockie Twos or Lockie Twoes?
Lockie Twoes. Let me write some prose. There once was a man named Lockie.
Is your prose in the form of a dirty limerick?
It's a dirty limerick.
Thank you so much and welcome to the club. Please make yourselves at home. Grab some fish and chips. Grab one of our leftover cocktails.
Get ready to be berated by Christian Bale.
Lockie, Katie, Paige, David, Emelesque, Daniel and Zoe. You're in here for life.
Sorry, but why would you want to leave?
Why would you want to leave? It's everything you want.
No one's ever asked to leave yet, thank God. That's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for joining us. You can always get in contact at any time. DoGoOnPod.com. That's the website. We've got links to our Patreon. We got links to all the other shows that we do on this little network that we've started. Who Knew It with Matt Stewart's hit one year anniversary.
Yes, we celebrated by reuniting the first ever triptych of Guests, Dave Warnicky, Jess Perkins, Saranjaya Mana.
A lot of fun. That was so much fun. Book Cheat's back out and happening. I just recently did an episode on Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar.
With who?
With my wife, Gabriella White, came on.
My White?
My White, Gabriella. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. Heavy book, but I think we still had a good time on it. And I've got a bunch more episodes coming up soon. And yeah, so there's links on our website, dogoonpod.com. You can also buy merchandise, suggest a topic, all these things. But
anyone can suggest a topic.
Anyone.
And, you might be going, I don't have the cash to pledge on Patreon. No problem at all.
No pressure.
There is zero pressure, but something you can do if you wanted to is maybe send your favourite episode to a friend who you think might enjoy it, or your mum, or your son, or other.
Exactly.
Maybe your favourite boy.
You send it to your best boy. But make sure it's an age-appropriate episode.
You can also give us 5-star reviews and...
yeah, that's nice. You can do it on Spotify these days. I don't know if you know that. You can give reviews on Spotify, on Apple, probably on another app too.
Yeah. And you can also comment on Spotify.
Oh, yeah.
I asked the question, what did you like about this episode and where should we tour next?
Good one. You got some good responses?
Had some fascinating responses.
Great. Look forward to going through those with you as I hit stop on this recording. So thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. We are but a week or two away from Blockbuster-tober now.
Holy moly.
So get excited for that. It's going to be a big year of blockbusting and blow-vembering.
Back for another one of those blockbusting couple of months of To Go On.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Until next time, also thanks so much for listening and goodbye.
Later.